Joining us tonight, the president's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani. And Rudy, this is astonishing. It turns out now Schiff had early notice of the...
You're surprised that he's once again conspiring to level false charges against the president of the United States, the guy who claimed that he had direct evidence of Russian collusion, lied to the American people, as part of the other conspiracy to frame. And that's why we're considering a lawsuit with him as one of the principal defendants individually. The president, remember, he doesn't have immunity when he's off the floor of the Congress. And his statement about having this evidence of Russian collusion was made to a reporter. There's a case, Supreme Court case, that says, yes, say it in Congress, you're immune. You put it in a press release, you're liable like anybody else.
I get the feeling that the president's attorney has just put Adam Schiff on notice of litigation.
Well, it's way beyond him. We are considering a lawsuit to vindicate the constitutional rights of the president's administration, to also remedy their trampling on the civil rights of many, many people. I mean, look at it this way.
Including the rights of his attorney. This looks like
both
an
of his
effort to
attorneys.
intimidate you.
They're going after both of his attorneys. They're going after Barr, who's his government attorney, and they're going after me, who's his private attorney. In the case of Barr, they're going worse than going after him. They're obstructing justice. Think of this, Lou, because they never would think of it because they're Democrats and they're immune. Remember, they were charging the president with obstruction of justice?
Right.
So why isn't it obstruction of justice if Democratic senators reach out to foreign leaders and say, don't cooperate with Barr? Well, it isn't Barr. It's the Department of Justice.
Right.
It's an investigation of a crime. It's an investigation of an alleged crime involving very vast manipulation of intelligence services in Italy, in the Ukraine, in the United Kingdom, and Australia. You call any of those leaders and say, don't investigate, you've got a pretty serious obstruction case on your hands. If there's a single standard for both of us.
Right.
Well, that's also an attempt to interfere with the president's ability to exercise his power under Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution. Their interference with Barr is trying to interfere with the president's prerogatives and power under Article 2, Section 3, to take care that the laws are faithfully executed. I'm not making any of these things up because I read the law, and I'm pretty good at going after scoundrels. I mean, I have a pretty good record of going, including the Teamsters Union and the Mafia and Milken and Boesky and Jesus, they were a hell of a lot smarter than Schiff. A hell of a lot smarter than Schiff. Schiff should have kept his remarks on the floor of the House. He'd have been immune. But when he takes his big mouth and he starts spouting it all over the place, and he starts indicating that he's involved in, and I'm not even talking about if he's involved in setting up this whole whistleblower thing, which, I don't know, I was really suspicious when I see him a month before we hear about the whistleblower, saying things that I can show are remarkably similar to what the whistleblower's lawyer put in the whistleblower's complaint, which is really a legal brief. Have you ever seen a whistleblower's complaint that has a page with longer footnotes than text? Only ponderous lawyers do that.
And committee staff.
Has to be a Washington lawyer. I have a suspicion. Would you be surprised if he was a Democratic partisan who did it?
I would be shocked, I think is the correct
answer. I would
answer.
Be absolutely shocked.
I want to turn to, if we may...
This could be the second setup, by the way, where they...
It has every earmark.
And now it's time. Now it's time to fight back.
You know,
it's time to hold these people liable for trampling the Constitution of the United States, destroying his right to counsel, intimidating his lawyers, threatening to arrest his attorney general. Arrest him? That's not intimidation. Trying to stop him from exit. It's not intimidation to threaten to disbar me because I'm doing my job. What's going to come out tomorrow?
Want you not to be on television.
What's going to come out tomorrow is irrefutable proof that I was doing it as his lawyer, since I delivered my investigation to the State Department. And now that they put it out, I can talk about it. And I delivered it to them, and I conducted it before the Mueller case was over. So why was I doing it? I was doing it to defend him against Mueller. I began this investigation in November of 2018. Right. I concluded it by the end of March. Mueller had just concluded his investigation then. My key interviews were in January when Mueller was still trying to frame him in the worst way possible. This evidence was very valuable to me in defending him. That's why I gathered it. Biden wasn't a candidate then. I didn't even think he'd be a candidate. He didn't look like he'd walk across the street.
And people forget that was straightforward. The president had said he wanted the origins of the 2016 conspiracy against him investigated.
And
he
Ukrainian officials,
investigated.
Ukrainians came to me. I didn't go looking for them.
Right.
And they told me for a year and a half they've been trying to get to the FBI. They believed there was something seriously wrong with our FBI because they wouldn't take the investigations. They hired a lawyer to try to get to the Justice Department. They couldn't get to the Justice Department. The reason I gave it to the State Department is my witnesses didn't trust the Justice Department. And I tried to convince them once Bill Barr was there, they didn't have to worry about that, but they don't understand that. And then I said, well, okay, I gave it to Mike Pompeo. Mike Pompeo said they were going to investigate. I delivered some of the notes that I had. And then I expected I'd hear back, and I never heard back. They never even gave me the courtesy of calling me in to ask me about the credibility of these things. They never talked to the principal witnesses, Shokin and Lutsenko. And somehow I think the deep state people tried to deep state it because I never heard another thing about it. Never.
They're still working hard.
And I bet we're not going to find a report of an investigation done by them.
Well, one thing...
Like a big, long one, like about that big.
You'd like it that thorough?
Well, sure, that's what I would do.
Well, let's turn to what they are doing, and that is bringing in these inspectors general for the State Department.
Obama holdover.
I'm sorry?
Obama holdover?
Correct.
Okay.
Atkinson from the intelligence community.
Is he an Obama holdover? I don't think so.
He is, yes.
Oh, yes.
From the Justice
Obama holdover. Whoa, he did a good job with the Obama Justice Department.
He really did. And the FBI. And the FBI.
In other words, this guy missed all of Peter Strzok, McKay,
right.
Comey.
So doesn't it strike you that this is a little...
Must be a hell of an investigator. Jeez, I don't think I'd hire him when I was a U.S. attorney.
Doesn't this strike you as just a little peculiar that no one wants to discuss this in the national media? This web of connection around those inspectors general, this staff, and...
Lou, there's no way I can possibly describe to you how disgusted I am with how corrupt the swamp media is. I knew when they told me about Biden, I told my colleague, the minute they mentioned Biden, because this came to me as Ukrainian collusion.
Right.
And in the middle of it, they said, Joe Biden fixed the case against his son, Soros, and Burisma.
Right.
And I said, what do you mean he fixed the case? He said, oh, come on, you know, everybody in Ukraine knows. Didn't you see that interview? I said, no, I never saw that interview. And he shows me the interview with Biden, first time I'd ever seen it. And I said, oh, my God, he's guilty. The minute I saw that after 1,000 prosecutions, I knew he was guilty because he didn't mention his son. He kept his son out of it. Right. And then they gave me the documents. I've seen the underlying documents of the investigation, of the laundered money, the money that went to Hunter Biden from Latvia to Cyprus to the U.S. I have the notes back from Cyprus. We can't give you, per U.S. government, we can't give you identities for Hunter Biden. We can't give you amounts for Hunter Biden and Devon Archer. Everybody else, they gave amounts.
Devon Archer.
And then Shokin testifies that when he called, he was told that the U.S. Embassy said to not give over the amounts for Hunter Biden and Devon Archer, his partner, who's the other guy that's in the picture.
In the Hamptons.
Just at the time they were appointed to the board. But Joe says they never talked about Burisma. He never knew about Burisma, even though it was in the New York Times. He never even read it.
Kind of pulling back from...
It's so obvious, Lou. It takes like...
well, it is obvious. And
it takes like almost a corrupt mind not to see it. It's logical. What happened is logical. Let me put it this way. Is there any serious adult human being that thinks that a multi-billionaire Ukrainian oligarch who fled Ukraine, worked with Russia, and stole $5 billion is going to pay this kid $3 to $8 billion? Or was he paying it to Joe Biden? Does anybody think that China would give this kid 2 cents? Right. Or were they buying and compromising, and not only buying, but compromising the office of Vice President of the United States with an odor that's so foul that everybody in Ukraine used to laugh at Joe Biden when he talked about corruption in the Ukraine?
I've got to kind of bring us to where we are right now. And that is with the president's attorney sitting here with us talking, who now has his own attorney, John Sale.
Yes, great attorney.
To represent you in all of these matters attached to the impeachment inquiry, so-called.
The illicit impeachment inquiry.
As,
the rogue.
As you have described.
Never authorized by a vote of Congress in order to deprive the president of the right to call witnesses. If they had gotten a vote of Congress.
The minority of any role.
No, but there's a reason to do that. That reason is to, again, trample his right to call witnesses in his defense. So they won't give him that right.
On its face.
They try to take his right to counsel, his right of confrontation, because they're keeping the guy as a hidden witness. Shokin wants to come here and testify openly and point the finger at Joe Biden and say he's a crook. Well, I don't know. He may be telling the truth. He may be lying, but the guy has the courage to stand up in court and do it. He's given us an affidavit under oath. I put it on television the other day. That's when, the minute the affidavit came out, they knew I had it. They know everything else I have, too. That's why they tried to silence me. It is not accidental that I put the affidavit of Shokin out. 3 hours later, they say, we demand that the press not interview him. Who does that, except somebody who thinks they own the press?
Or who wants to buy it, the rest that it doesn't own.
But that's the signal to try to destroy my reputation, which they're all trying to do.
Exactly.
I get calls about, did you represent somebody 10 years ago? Or did you do this? Or did you do that? And I used to say to them, what does it matter? Why don't you investigate the case first? Then you can try to take the process apart. But if you're investigating the process before the case, I know you're corrupt.
Well, good luck to them, because no one would have a more public record in his profession.
Oh, they've done it to me for years. If the mafia couldn't get me and the FARC, these little pipsqueaks aren't going to do it.
You're not worried about Adam Schiff?
I'm not worried about the Times either. I mean, that Tony Salerno was a lot tougher than the Times, and the FARC has threatened to cut my throat.
I want to, very quickly, we got about 30 seconds to wrap up, and thank you for your time. Where do we go? It's on its face. The transcript says there is no issue. The Justice Department has so ruled. Why in the world? Where do we go, and why can't this be concluded quickly?
Because the Democrats are engaged in an illegal conspiracy to take him out of office at any cost. Doesn't matter if it's legal or illegal. It doesn't matter if they perpetuate lies, false investigations, obstruct investigations. This is a plan that started with Peter Strzok to prevent him from going to office, and the insurance plan was to frame him if he got into office. The first frame didn't work, and now they're working on the second frame. Just think of the ridiculous thing. The first allegation is one that was serious. The second one is a joke. It's a joke. The conversation is completely meaningless. I mean, he doesn't threaten. He doesn't use money. Joe Biden does all that, and they're trying to suppress it.
When do your lawsuits and those of the president begin?
Oh, gosh, they take a while to put together and to study and to make sure we have the facts. But I sort of announced it publicly because we're asking for some help, and I got some today. I got a whole new set of allegations today that could be even more serious.
Rudy Giuliani, the president.
Maybe not. Maybe not. I'm not sure. I haven't checked them out yet.
You're just guessing?
No, I'm not guessing. I've had allegations that have come to me that have turned out to be true, and I have allegations that come to me that turn out to be idiotic, and I have allegations that I think are true, but I can't prove.
Rudy Giuliani, the statistics are on his side. Rudy, good to have you with us. Thanks so much.
And the truth.
We got to go. We'll be right back with more on whatever this is, impeachment, I guess.